The small research vessel hummed quietly as it approached the strange asteroid. Dr. Hannah Kim checked her instruments one final time. This was her fourth solo mission, but something about this asteroid felt different. Its surface shimmered with unusual crystal formations that weren't on any of her charts. "Control, this is Dr. Kim. I'm preparing to land on the asteroid's surface," she said into her communications device. "Copy that, Dr. Kim. Proceed with caution," came the reply from Earth's orbital station. The landing was smooth. Hannah suited up and stepped onto the asteroid's surface. Her boots crunched on the crystalline ground as she began collecting samples. The crystals glowed with a faint blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. "Fascinating," she whispered to herself. Her scanner showed unusual energy readings unlike anything in the database. She followed the strongest signal, walking carefully over the uneven terrain. After 20 minutes of exploration, Hannah reached a large crystal formation that towered above her. Unlike the others, this one glowed with intense white light. As she approached, she noticed something inside the crystal. A figure. "Control, I'm detecting what appears to be a life form," she reported, her voice shaking slightly. "Can you describe it, Dr. Kim?" Control asked. "It looks humanoid, but different." She moved closer. "It has what appear to be wings. Large, feathered wings. Almost like." "Like what, Dr. Kim?" "Like an angel from old Earth paintings," she finished, feeling foolish even as she said it. The being inside the crystal was tall and slender with perfect features. Its skin had a soft glow, and folded behind its back were large, iridescent wings. It appeared to be sleeping or unconscious. Hannah's training kicked in. If this was a living being in distress, she needed to help. She set up her equipment and began scanning the crystal structure. "The life form shows stable but weak life signs," she reported. "I believe it may be trapped or in some kind of stasis. I'm going to attempt to free it." "Dr. Kim, wait for backup," Control ordered. "There's no time. If it's alive, it might be suffering," Hannah argued. "I'm using the laser cutter now." The crystal material yielded easily to her tools. As the last section fell away, the being floated gently to the ground. Up close, it was even more beautiful, its features delicate yet strong, its body giving off a soft light. Hannah made a quick decision. "I'm bringing the subject aboard my ship for medical attention." "That is absolutely against protocol, Dr. Kim. It needs help." "I'll accept full responsibility," she said firmly, already working out how to transport the being to her ship. It was lighter than she expected. With some effort, she managed to carry it back to her vessel and secure it in the medical bay. As she prepared to leave the asteroid, the being's eyes suddenly opened. Hannah gasped. Its eyes were like pools of silver light. "Where am I?" it asked in perfect Korean, its voice musical and strange. "You're on my research vessel," Hannah explained, trying to keep her voice steady. "I found you trapped in crystal. My name is Dr. Hannah Kim." The being sat up smoothly, wings adjusting behind its back. "I am Taeyong of the Luminary. I was not trapped, Dr. Hannah Kim. I was conducting energy measurements in deep meditation." Hannah's heart sank. "You weren't in danger?" "No," Taeyong said, looking around curiously. "By removing me, you have triggered an automatic distress signal to my homeworld." The ship's alert system suddenly blared. "Unknown energy signature detected," the computer announced. Taeyong looked concerned. "That would be the acknowledgement of my signal. My people will come for me now." "I didn't mean to kidnap you," Hannah said, horror dawning on her face. "I thought you needed help." "A misunderstanding," Taeyong said, studying her with interest. "But one that may have serious consequences. My people are not familiar with humans. They may see this as an aggressive act." As they broke orbit, Hannah received an urgent message from Earth Control. "Dr. Kim, return to base immediately. We're detecting massive energy signatures approaching the solar system. Whatever you found on that asteroid, It's brought company. Hannah looked at Taeyong, who was now examining her ship's controls with curious eyes. I believe, Taeyong said softly, that you humans have a saying. The road to conflict is paved with good intentions. Outside the view screen, stars streaked by as the ship headed home, toward a confrontation that would change humanity's place in the universe forever. Hannah's ship docked at the International Space Station amid chaos. Military vessels surrounded Earth, and news channels showed only one thing: 3 massive ships hovering over Seoul like polished silver clouds. They had appeared without warning 6 hours after Taeyong's signal. You need to understand, Taeyong explained as they were rushed through security. My people rarely interact with younger species directly. Hannah could barely process what was happening. Younger species. The luminary have existed for millions of years, Taeyong said. We have watched many civilizations rise and fall. They were taken to a conference room where Ambassador Ju Park paced nervously. A large screen showed the luminary vessels. Dr. Kim, Ambassador Park said sharply, do you realize what you've done? These beings are demanding explanations for what they call an abduction. I was trying to help, Hannah said weakly. Taeyong stepped forward. Ambassador, I can speak with my people. This was indeed a misunderstanding. The screen flickered, showing a face similar to Taeyong's but harsher, with wings that glowed bright red instead of soft white. I am Dame, commander of the Celestial Fleet, the being announced. We demand the immediate return of our emissary and punishment for those responsible for this violation. Ambassador Park bowed respectfully. Honorable Commander, this was a misunderstanding. Dr. Kim believed your emissary was in distress. His eyes narrowed. Humans remove what does not belong to them. This confirms our observations of your primitive nature. Taeyong moved beside Hannah. Commander, the human acted out of compassion, a quality our people claim to value. Dong has seemed surprised by Taeyong's defense. You speak for these creatures, emissary. I speak the truth, Taeyong replied. I have observed kindness and curiosity in them. They deserve diplomatic consideration. The meeting continued for hours. Dong had insisted that Taeyong return immediately to undergo purification. Ambassador Park tried every diplomatic approach to smooth relations. Meanwhile, Earth's military forces went on high alert, though everyone knew their weapons would be useless against the advanced luminary technology. During a break, Hannah found Taeyong looking out a window at Earth below. It's beautiful, Taeyong said. So full of life and color. Most worlds we visit are carefully controlled. Will your people attack us? Hannah asked directly. Taeyong's wings dimmed slightly. The celestial hierarchy has long debated whether to make contact with humans. Some believe you are too unpredictable, too emotional. And what do you believe? Taeyong turned to her. I find those qualities fascinating. Your kind feels so deeply, creates so freely. It's refreshing. When negotiations resumed, Taeyong surprised everyone by requesting to remain on Earth as a cultural ambassador. I wish to learn more about humans, Taeyong announced. This incident provides an opportunity for understanding between our peoples. He's face showed clear displeasure. This request is denied. Return to the fleet immediately. With respect, Commander, I invoke the right of enlightenment, Taeyong said firmly. The other luminary in the delegation visibly reacted. He's wings flashed brilliantly. You would use ancient law to remain among these primitives? He asked incredulously. I would use ancient law to pursue knowledge, as is our highest purpose, Taeyong replied calmly. Without another word, Dong had cut the transmission. Within minutes, the luminary delegation on the station departed abruptly, leaving only confusion behind. What just happened? Ambassador Park asked. The right of enlightenment is a fundamental luminary law, Taeyong explained. It allows any of our kind to pursue knowledge that could benefit our civilization. They cannot legally force me to return against my will. That night, Earth's monitoring stations intercepted transmissions between the luminary ships. Lieutenant Jian Li rushed the translation to the emergency council. They're planning something called purification protocols, she reported, face pale. From what we can gather, they consider us a potential threat to be eliminated. Ambassador Park turned to Taeyong. Is this true? Will they attack? Taeyong's wings drooped slightly. The celestial hierarchy has always feared species with unpredictable development patterns. My staying here has likely confirmed their worst fears about human influence. Hannah felt sick with guilt. This is my fault. Taeyong gently touched her shoulder. No, this confrontation was inevitable. The Luminary have watched Earth for centuries, debating whether to guide you or eliminate you. My kidnapping didn't cause this situation. It merely accelerated a decision they were already considering. As they spoke, the 3 Luminary ships moved into high orbit, forming a triangle above Earth. Military leaders worldwide prepared for possible attack, knowing they had little chance against such advanced beings. What can we do? Hannah asked desperately. Taeyong looked at her with an expression she couldn't read. I know their weaknesses, Taeyong said quietly. And I believe humanity deserves a chance to survive. The military base outside Seoul buzzed with activity as scientists and soldiers prepared for possible conflict. Hannah had been assigned to work with Taeyong, learning everything possible about luminary technology and biology. They spent long days together in a special laboratory set up just for this purpose. Your people really believe we're dangerous? Hannah asked as she analyzed data from Taeyong's energy readings. Taeyong's wings shifted color slightly. Something Hannah had learned happened when the Luminary experienced strong emotions. My people fear what they cannot control. Humans progress in unexpected ways. You don't follow predictable development patterns like most species. Outside the window, fighter jets practiced formation flying. Earth was preparing for war, even though everyone knew their weapons might be useless against the Luminary. One evening, after most staff had left, Hannah found Taeyong standing on the roof of the research building, wings spread wide, as if absorbing energy from the setting sun. What are you doing up here? She asked, pulling her jacket tighter against the cool evening air. Connecting, Taeyong said simply. Our bodies can absorb and process certain wavelengths of light. It helps us think more clearly. Hannah stood beside the beautiful alien, watching the sunset paint the sky in oranges and pinks. It's beautiful, isn't it? She said. Yes, Taeyong agreed, but was looking at her instead of the sunset. Humans are fascinating. You feel everything so intensely. Something in Taeyong's voice made Hannah's heart beat faster. What do you mean? My people control their emotions carefully. We find it disruptive to feel too deeply. Taeyong's wings glowed softly. But since meeting you, I've been experiencing emotions I don't have names for. Hannah felt her cheeks grow warm. We might not survive what's coming. Your people could destroy us. I won't let that happen, Taeyong said, suddenly serious. Which is why I must tell you the truth. They sat together as darkness fell, and Taeyong revealed secrets about the Luminary that changed everything Hannah thought she knew. We aren't angels, Hannah. We're energy beings who have manipulated developing civilizations for millennia. Ancient humans saw us and created myths about divine messengers. You've been to Earth before? Hannah asked, shocked. Many times, my people guided some civilizations and destroyed others they deemed too unpredictable. They fear humanity because you question everything, even gods. Taeyong's hand reached for hers hesitantly. When their fingers touched, Hannah felt a gentle warmth spread through her body. Why tell me this? She asked softly. Won't your people punish you? They would consider it treason, Taeyong admitted. But I've grown to care for you in ways my kind would consider dangerous. I cannot watch your species be destroyed because of fear and misunderstanding. The next morning, Hannah brought Taeyong to meet with General Minho Lee and the Defense Council. The room fell silent as they entered. Taeyong has information that could help us, Hannah announced. The general looked skeptical. How do we know we can trust an alien whose people are threatening our planet? Taeyong stepped forward. My people have weaknesses you can exploit. Our energy fields can be disrupted by specific electromagnetic frequencies. Our ships have vulnerability points that your weapons could target. Why would you betray your own kind? A council member asked suspiciously. Taeyong glanced at Hannah before answering. Because I believe humanity deserves to exist. Your creativity, your passion, your determination. These are valuable traits in the universe. Not everyone was convinced. After the meeting, Hannah overheard soldiers talking. The alien's probably feeding us false information, one said, setting us up for a trap. I think it's fallen for Dr. Kim, another laughed. Aliens getting romantic. That's a new one. Late that night, Hannah found Taeyong in the lab, studying Earth's defensive capabilities. People are questioning your motives, she said. That's wise of them, Taeyong replied. Caution is appropriate. Hannah moved closer. And what about what that soldier said? About your feelings for me? Taeyong looked up, eyes shining with silvery light. My people believe attachment leads to poor decisions. They're probably right. And yet here you are, helping us. Here I am, Taeyong agreed, standing to face her. Making the poorest decision of my long existence, according to my people. And the best one, according to mine, Hannah whispered. Their hands met again, human warmth meeting alien energy in a connection that defied the coming conflict. Outside, the luminary ships moved into attack formation, while Earth prepared its defenses based on Taeyong's information. The fate of humanity would depend on whether their unusual alliance and growing love could overcome millennia of luminary prejudice. The message arrived at dawn, broadcast simultaneously to every communication device on Earth. Commander Dong's face appeared on screens worldwide, his wings glowing with fierce red energy. People of Earth, he announced, the celestial hierarchy has determined your species requires supervision. Surrender our emissary Taeyong and accept permanent monitoring, or face extinction. You have 6 hours to decide. World leaders gathered in emergency session. Some argued for surrender, believing resistance was futile against such advanced beings. Others refused to accept domination by aliens, regardless of the consequences. In a secured bunker beneath Seoul, General Minho Lee reviewed the battle plan based on Taeyong's information. The Luminary have never faced serious resistance, Taeyong explained, pointing to a holographic display of their ships. They believe their technology makes them invincible. And does it? The general asked bluntly. Almost, Taeyong admitted. But they have 3 weaknesses we can exploit. First, their ship's energy shields operate on predictable frequencies. Second, their central network controls all their systems. And third, Taeyong paused, wings dimming slightly. They underestimate humans completely. Hannah squeezed Taeyong's hand supportively. We need a small team to infiltrate the mothership while our main forces distract the fleet. The general nodded grimly. Who will lead this suicide mission? I will. Hannah volunteered immediately. Taeyong can guide us through their systems. 4 hours later, as the deadline approached, Earth launched its response. Not surrender, but a daring offensive that surprised the Luminary completely. Using specially modified electromagnetic pulse weapons, designed to the exact specifications Taeyong provided, Earth's forces fired at the Luminary ships. The pulses didn't destroy the vessels but disrupted their perfect coordination. For beings accustomed to operating as a unified consciousness, this created momentary confusion. During this window, a small stealth craft carried Hannah, Taeyong, and 6 specially trained soldiers toward the mothership. They wore suits designed to mask their energy signatures, making them nearly invisible to luminary sensors. Their security is based on energy detection, Taeyong whispered as they approached an access point. They never considered physical infiltration because no species has ever attempted it. Inside, the mothership was beautiful and strange. Corridors pulsed with living light, and doors opened without visible controls. They encountered few luminary. Most were focused on the unexpected human attack outside. This way, Taeyong guided them through a series of passages. The central network hub is their vulnerability. It controls everything from weapons to life support. When they reached the hub, they found it unguarded, a sign of the luminaries' overconfidence. They never imagined anyone would reach this far, Taeyong explained. Hana worked quickly with Taeyong's guidance, connecting their devices to the alien technology. The soldiers stood guard, weapons ready. What exactly will this do? Hana asked as she completed the final connections. It will disrupt their entire fleet coordination, Taeyong explained. Each ship will be forced to operate independently, something they haven't done in thousands of years. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. We've been detected, one soldier reported. Complete the upload, Taeyong urged. I'll buy you time. Before Hana could protest, Taeyong stepped into the corridor, wings glowing brightly. 3 luminary guards approached, their own wings flashing with anger. Traitor, one hissed at Taeyong. No, Taeyong replied calmly. I am fulfilling our highest purpose, learning from other species instead of destroying them. What happened next was unlike anything Hana had ever seen. The luminary engaged in combat using pure energy, their wings and bodies emitting powerful blasts of light. Taeyong fought defensively, protecting the entrance to the hub while Hana finished her work. Done, she called eventually. Taeyong, we need to go. The effect was immediate. Throughout the mothership, systems flickered and reset. Outside, half the luminary fleet suddenly went dark, their perfect formation dissolving into chaos. Earth's forces, though technologically inferior, seized the advantage. Fighting with desperate courage against a suddenly disorganized enemy, they scored significant hits against the luminary vessels. As Hana's team fought their way back to their craft, they witnessed the luminaries' confusion. These beings had never experienced failure or serious resistance. They didn't know how to adapt to changing battle conditions, a skill humans had perfected through centuries of conflict. Their escape ship launched amid the chaos, speeding back toward Earth as the luminary fleet struggled to restore their systems. Behind them, the mothership's lights pulsed erratically. Will they recover? General Lee asked over the communication link. Taeyong, wounded from the confrontation with the guards but still functioning, nodded. Eventually, but not quickly enough to maintain their attack. We forced them to do something they've never had to do before. What's that? Hana asked. Taeyong looked at her with something like pride. Negotiate with equals rather than dictate to inferiors. As their ship approached Earth, they saw the luminary fleet pulling back, regrouping around their damaged mothership. For the first time in their long history, the beings who had posed as gods had met their match in the humans they had so deeply underestimated. The International Space Station had been expanded and modified in the 3 months since the battle. A new circular chamber with transparent walls now extended from the main structure, designed specifically for the peace negotiations. Earth rotated slowly below, a beautiful blue sphere against the blackness of space. Inside the chamber, representatives from Earth sat on one side of a round table. Hana was among them, wearing a formal blue uniform with her nation's flag on the shoulder. Across from them sat 3 luminary delegates, their wings folded neatly behind them. Commander Dongya was at the center, his expression unreadable, but his wings noticeably less bright than before. Taeyong stood in the neutral position between the two groups, acting as translator and mediator. The scars from the battle were still visible on Taeyong's wings, patches where the light didn't flow smoothly. The celestial hierarchy acknowledges that humans cannot be managed through traditional methods, Dongya stated formally. Your resistance was unexpected. Ambassador Ju Park nodded. We seek peaceful relations, but we will not accept domination. The negotiations proceeded slowly. The luminary, unused to treating other species as equals, struggled with the concept. Several times, Dongya made statements that humans found condescending, requiring Taeyong's careful diplomatic intervention. My people have guided civilizations for millennia, Dongye explained. We have seen many species destroy themselves. Our intervention has always been to prevent this. Perhaps, Ambassador Park replied, but freedom includes the right to make mistakes. Humanity wishes to chart its own course among the stars. By the 5th day, they had reached a tentative agreement. The luminary would recognize Earth as a sovereign world, and humans would gain limited access to some luminary technology, particularly medical and environmental advances that could help Earth's problems. After one session, Hannah found Taeyong looking out at Earth from the observation deck. Your world looks so peaceful from here, Taeyong said. No one would guess how fiercely you fight for it. Hannah smiled. That's the thing about humans. We're complicated, and that's why I love you, Taeyong said simply. The words hung in the space between them, finally spoken after months of growing closer. Hannah stepped forward and took Taeyong's hand. Where once the energy difference had felt strange, now it was familiar and comforting. What will happen to you when this is over? She asked. Will you be punished for helping us? I've been designated as Earth's ambassador to the luminary, Taeyong explained. It's both an honor and an exile. I won't be welcomed back to my homeworld. Then stay here, Hannah said, with me. Before Taeyong could answer, a junior officer rushed in. Dr. Kim, Ambassador Park needs you both immediately. They hurried to the communications center, where screens showed incoming transmissions from across the galaxy. Species Hannah had never seen before were broadcasting messages in various languages, all with similar content. What's happening? She asked. Ambassador Park looked excited but worried. News of humanity's successful resistance against the luminary has spread. Other species, many apparently under luminary control, are beginning their own rebellions. Donghae entered the room, his wings flashing with anger. This is your doing, he said to Taeyong. You've started a galactic uprising. No, Taeyong replied calmly. Humanity showed that the luminary can be challenged. The rest was inevitable. Over the next few days, the negotiations took on new urgency. The luminary needed to end the conflict with Earth quickly to deal with the spreading rebellions. Earth's representatives, sensing their stronger position, pushed for more concessions. 1 year later, Hannah and Taeyong stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Earth Embassy on the luminary homeworld. The building, designed by human architects, but built with luminary technology, symbolized the new relationship between the species. Below them, in the central plaza, humans and luminary moved together, still somewhat cautiously, but with growing comfort. Several other alien species were visible as well, representatives from worlds that had achieved new independence in what historians were calling the Great Awakening. Did you ever imagine this would happen when you found me in that crystal? Taeyong asked. Hannah laughed. I was just trying to help someone in trouble. I never imagined kidnapping an angel would change the galaxy. The best discoveries often come from mistakes, Taeyong said, wings glowing warmly. Like accidentally kidnapping an angel, or an angel falling in love with a human, Hannah added. Their hands intertwined, the symbolic gesture that had begun as a simple human contact, but had come to represent something much more significant. The unexpected connection between two very different beings that had ultimately changed the balance of power among the stars. As the double suns of the luminary homeworld set in a spectacular display of color, other species throughout the galaxy were building their own paths forward, free from domination for the first time in millennia. All because of a simple misunderstanding, an accidental kidnapping, and the unexpected strength of humanity when fighting for what it believed in.